right, salud.
Okay. My name is Liga Tan, and I will be informing you on Ernesto Che Guevara. In the words of Ernesto Guevara, déjame decirles, a riesgo de parecer ridículo, que el revolucionario verdadero está guiado por grandes sentimientos de amor. However, most people know Fidel Castro, or have seen the image of Ernesto Guevara, but do not know what he represents. Ernesto Guevara influenced the entire continent of Latin America and the future of Cuba. By being informed on Ernesto Guevara, not only will you gain knowledge about his contributions to South America, but how he influenced the future of a country. I recall being introduced to Ernesto Guevara when I became intrigued by his image on my brother's shirt. Since then, he has become a hero to me. First in my speech, I will speak about Ernesto Guevara's early life. I will then discuss his contributions to South America, and lastly, I will end with his role in the Cuban Revolution. Guevara's upbringing and choices would play a major role in his life. According to the scholars Riftif and Reiner, Ernesto Guevara de la Sierra, known as Che, was born in Rosario, Argentina on May 14, 1928, to Ernesto Guevara Lynch and Celia de la Sierra. He was born into a middle-class aristocrat household. His asthma never prohibited him from participating in numerous activities and athletic sports. He became involved in local sports teams which included soccer, horseback riding, and golf. He earned a reputation in rugby because of his fearless attacks and was given the nickname El Fuser. During his youth, Ernesto spent most of his school days at home because of his asthma. He attended the Colegio Nacional de Anfunes in Córdoba, Argentina, one of the most prestigious state-run schools where he received his high school diploma. At the age of 19, he enrolled himself at the University of Buenos Aires, where he graduated with his doctorate degree. His personality contributed directly to his actions in South America. Ernesto Guevara states in his novel, overcome with the desire to explore, Che convinced his friend Alberto, a biochemist, to travel with him throughout South America. They set out from Buenos Aires, Argentina, to Mexico City, Mexico, on their motorcycle, La Poderosa, on January 4, 1952. During his travels, Guevara wrote of the close encounter with poverty and the corrupt governments. He was struck by a Chilean couple he met who were persecuted for their beliefs. He soon traveled to the Chuquicamata copper mine and became furious with the American Mine Administration for exploiting the lower-class peasants. In return, South America had various effects on Guevara's perspective outlooks on poverty along with hunger and disease. Although a licensed physician, he often became discouraged because he was unable to help the lower-class peasants. He wrote in great sympathy, the inability to treat a child because of the lack of money and superfat, provoked by the continual hunger and punishment that leads a father to accept the death of his son as an unimportant accident. His experiences in South America led him to join the Cuban Revolution. John Anderson illustrates in his novel. In Mexico City, Mexico, Ernesto Guevara met Fidel Castro and agreed to join the guerrilla movement in Cuba. The objective of the Cuban Revolution was to completely destroy the regime of the Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista. Traveling on a small boat with 85 men, Ernesto arrived in Las Playas Las Coloradas on December 2, 1956. 2 days after arriving, their guide left them to inform nearby armed forces. Ambushed, they ran to La Sierra Maestra with only 22 men remaining. La Sierra Maestra would become the main center for networking and assembling civil rebel reinforcements. On October 1, 1958, the guerrillas battled in street-to-street fighting and derailed a train carrying reinforcement supplies and admission to Santiago. This was vital because Santiago was the last city standing in Cuba. The rebels captured the city of Santa Clara and Batista fled Cuba. Ernesto founded a military cultural academy and produced his own newspaper called La Cubana Libre. In a farewell letter to Castro, Guevara ended by, "Other nations of the world summon my modest efforts, and I do that which has denied you due to your responsibilities as the head of Cuba, and it has come time for us to depart." Although Guevara had various contributions to Cuba, his personal aspects and traveling experience had a major influence. You have now been informed on Ernesto Che Guevara, personal devotions and contributions to South America and Cuba. You will now be able to recognize his iconic image and have briefly learned about the history in South America. Originally, Guevara spoke in Spanish, and his quote would have gone something like this: "Let me say, at the risk of seeming ridiculous, that the true revolutionary is guided by the great feelings of love."